Have I ever told you the story about how I became the favorite attraction at the zoo for 15 minutes? Well, here goes. The sketch comedy troupe I belonged to, called Lower Lip, was hired to perform at the zoo. And we were paid ahead of time, $25 each. And so we went there fully expecting that we would have a stage in which to perform from and seats for the audience, and they would be able to watch us undistracted. But no, the zoo assigned us this little gazebo in the middle of a pathway between the peacocks and the prairie dogs. People weren't going to stop and watch people standing in the gazebo because your head was hidden under the overhang. So we said, forget this. And we just went and wandered the zoo. Well, the one girl of Lower Lip that I was kind of interested in walked with me, and I was wearing a very large Mexican hat. A hat that I had bought in Mexico that didn't quite fit my head, so periodically I'd have to push it down. So we wandered over, and we were wandering around, and we were standing in front of the Otter Pin, which was basically a scummy water swimming pool with a little hole at the top, all cement for an otter to play in. And we were standing in front of that, and she asked me if she could have $1 to buy a Coke, and I'm, of course. So I opened my wallet, which has been and still is a very big George Costanza wallet, full of all my personal possessions, my phone numbers, my addresses, receipts, clubs I belonged to or wanted to belong to, all was packed into this wallet. So I opened this wallet to give her that $1 that I knew I had in my wallet to give to her so she could buy a drink. And a gust of wind came by, and I didn't want that Mexican hat floating off of my head and landing in that scummy otter pin. So I reached up and shoved the hat back on my head, and I looked back at my wallet. All that was left in the wallet was the $1. All that personal information was now floating on the top of the Otter Pond. Hey, that's my stuff. That's my important stuff. I need that stuff. So irregardless, I think I gave her the hat, and I crawled into the Otter Pond. It was like a swimming pool. It had the swimming pool ladder on the side. Crawled into the Otter Pin. I went down the ladder, and I was hanging, and I was bending backwards and scooping out a few of my items and all. And then I look up, and there was like 3 people watching me. And then I reached way back, and I was scooping up a few more items. I still hadn't touched the water, and I was doing acrobatics that I'd never done before. And I looked up, and now there was like 6 people watching me. And then I bend back, I try to grab a couple more, and I look up, and there was rail to rail, there were people looking at me. I became the most popular attraction at the zoo. Everybody wanted to see me dig my trash off of the pond. And at about this time, the girl came back with a zoo employee with a rake. And he put the rake in the water, and Kitumba, he got all my personal possessions back in one clump. And of course, I got what I wanted, so now I climbed back out of the Otter Pond. I hadn't touched the water, I hadn't fallen in, I hadn't had to swim around in it. And he gave me my clump of stuff back, and it's all stuck together now like a big mass of glued together pulp. And I put it back in my wallet, and I put my hat back on my head, and we went on our merry way. Now, years later, I told this story to that girl who now works at the zoo, well, the biopark. I think she's the bug lady. And I told her the story, and she looks at me, and she didn't remember it at all. I'm the only one that remembers this story. That and the group of people that were staring at me, but I don't know who they were. She did not remember this story. But I still have the hat. So I was the only member of the troupe that performed that day, ironically, and boy, I bet everybody got their $25 worth.